Good morning, students. I wanted to make one last morning tea with Ms. Lucas video to honor the last official week of the school year. I've just been thinking a lot about my first year of teaching right now, since the school year is coming to an end, and just wanted to share some thoughts with you all, share some nice morning tea. So I've got a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of sharing from me, and then a poem by Mary Oliver. And I think I read one of her poems in another video, so maybe she's familiar to you. So what I would like to do to start is just take 25 mindful breaths. I really missed having our mindful moments together. I've been doing some of it on my own, but there's something almost a little more magical when you're in a room together and suddenly 30 people become quiet, and it just makes it more special. But we're going to try and go for that today over video. So I'm just going to find a comfortable seated position, and I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to try to let my breathing become natural, trying to pay attention to it without changing it, just allowing it to be. And now I'm going to count 25 breaths. And I invite you to join at your own pace. Just trying to keep still. And just trying to be content. Simply observing and noticing the breath. And if you lose count, be kind to yourself. Just make a guess and keep counting. When you get to number 25, take a really big breath and let it out slow. And then open your eyes, maybe do a little stretch, just wake back up after that. So maybe you skipped that, totally fine. Maybe you joined me for that mindful moment. If you skipped it, I encourage you to try it again later. Just find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and count 25 breaths. It's so simple and is a really helpful thing to do for your brain, for your mental health, just to take a step back from everything. So, a couple of things I wanted to share with you guys today. First off, I wanted to talk about just some things that I've learned in my first year of teaching, and I haven't scripted this, so I am trying to avoid rambling too much. But one of the first things that I learned is that it was honestly better than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of there's a high percentage of teachers, I think it's like 50% of new teachers will quit within the first 5 years. Don't quote me on that statistic. But it's something really high, and that's because teaching can be, if you don't have the right amount of support, it can be really draining and kind of discouraging for people. And I was just so pleasantly surprised to be at Cave Spring High School, where the community of the staff and teachers who work to make that school run are so supportive and kind and caring, and as Ms. Mosier says, will not let you fail. So that gave me so much peace of mind and comfort throughout the school year. But more than anything, I was just shocked at how great my students were. Not that I expected people to be mean, but honestly, I feel like I have the best students in the world. And I'm going to try not to cry. But every single student that I have, if you're watching this, I like you and I love you. I didn't have a single kid that I didn't want to see when they come into my classroom. Every single person that I had as a student, I was excited to see. I was so happy when you would come into my classroom for class that day, or if you stopped and said hello, it just would warm my heart so much. Every single one of you, I really, really, really do like and enjoy being around. And that was just such a pleasant feeling. And I'm excited to go to work every day. And so it's this pandemic's been hard because I miss you guys so much, but at the same time I feel insanely grateful that I have such great students that I miss going to work. I miss the craziness of the school schedule with the bells and the changing classes and lunches, and I miss the chaos because it was always so fun. Just supporting you guys with schoolwork and personal issues, and getting pranked by you guys sometimes, and making jokes, and just getting excited about what we were talking about in class. It just made every day amazing. So thank you so much, students, for being wonderful. I truly do love every single one of you, and I want the absolute best for every one of you, and I know that every single one of you has unlimited potential. So whether you're a junior who's about to go into your senior year, or if you're a senior leaving high school to move on to something new in life, something different, I know that whatever you decide you want to do, you can make it happen. It's just a matter of exploring, who you are and what you like to make that decision about what it is that you want to do with your wild and precious life. And just a note to my yearbook seniors, obviously the situation sucks for a lot of reasons, that you can't have the normal fanfare and celebration that you obviously deserve for reaching this milestone in your life. But at the same time, there's not another senior class in Cave Spring High School history that will have this story to tell about their graduation. You guys are going to go down as completely unforgettable, because the way that you're graduating, while you are missing out on a lot of things, is so unique and special that it will never be forgotten. Never. And I think that's something to, let that sink in and make you feel special and unique, and maybe take some comfort in the fact that I think you will be a much more memorable class because of that. Yeah. So thank you so much, students, for being so wonderful. Thank you to everyone at Cave Spring High School who makes that place run so wonderfully the way it does, because my first year of teaching, despite a lot of, obstacles and challenges, especially with this global pandemic, and just having a really big workload of AP and yearbook, dual, was so much more than I ever thought I could have wanted. And I am just endlessly grateful for that. Thank you. All right, and then one other thing is that if you are into journaling, or maybe you're not and you suddenly feel like you might be interested in doing it, I would just encourage you to take some time, reflect on this school year and what you've learned. What if you learned about yourself? What if you learned about others around you? What have you learned about the world? And then ultimately, just talk about what you're grateful for. Kind of explore the things in your life that, that you really appreciate and that bring you joy and peace. Because there might be more than you even realize. Okay, so lastly, I'd like to share a poem with you. This is Devotions by Mary Oliver. It's like a compilation of a bunch of different poems. This pillow just needs to go. Okay. So it's a compilation of poems from a bunch of different publications that she's had, because she's published quite a bit of poetry. And I've got a little poem earmarked. And it's called Invitation. And it's this one, and then it goes on to the next page a little bit. So it's kind of little stanzas, the lines are pretty short. And I'm going to read it a couple of times. Invitation. Oh, do you have time to linger for just a little while out of your busy and very important day, for the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles, for a musical battle, to see who can sing the highest note, or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth, or the most tender? Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive melodiously, not for your sake and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say, it is a serious thing, just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." So one more time, Invitation by Mary Oliver. Oh, do you have time to linger for just a little while out of your busy and very important day, for the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles for a musical battle, to see who can sing the highest note, or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth, or the most tender? Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive melodiously, not for your sake and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say, it is a serious thing, just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." So I love this poem for a few reasons. The first is that it's kind of about just a really small moment in nature. Something very simple, and honestly that happens every day, probably right outside your house, which is birds singing. She says it's a musical battle to see who can sing the highest or the lowest. So these birds are singing back and forth, and they're trying really hard, and it's not for the sake of anything really except to express delight and gratitude. And she's kind of personifying there because birds, as far as we know, don't have the mental capacity to feel delight, maybe. I don't think really it's scientifically known that birds can feel emotions. So she's kind of, taking a little bit of poetic liberty there. But the birds are kind of an example of what maybe we should be doing, because with this musical battle, the birds are saying, they're expressing out of delight, but she's saying that they actually say in their song that it's a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. And so there's kind of this contrast of something wonderful, the fresh morning, expressing delight about probably just being alive in that moment, but then that's contrasted with a broken world. And I think that is something we can relate to right now with all of our expectations about what March, April, May would look like have been completely shattered, and the school year has not ended the way that we thought it would, or probably wanted it to at all. So in a lot of ways, things are broken right now. Things are not working the way we are used to them working. And yet, these birds know that the world is broken, and yet it's a fresh morning, they're alive, they're singing, and they can't help but share their joy because of that. And so when she starts the poem by saying, oh, do you have the time to take out of your busy and very important day? It's almost a little sarcastic, because what can be more important than remembering that you're alive, and there's no greater joy in realizing that and paying attention to it. So she says, the voice in the poem says, I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. And so the birds, with their songs, are putting on a show, and she's saying, stop and take a moment to appreciate that. And this also, for me, ties into mindfulness, because the more we practice mindfulness and basically just having a deeper awareness of what goes on, inside ourselves and the world around us. I mean, you can practice mindful eating where you chew more slowly and savor the flavors more. You can do anything with more mindfulness. It doesn't have to be closing your eyes and breathing. So if you're going for a walk mindfully, maybe you're paying more attention with all of your senses: touch, smell, hearing, listening to the bird song. So in a way, there's mindfulness in this poem, because she's saying, be mindful when you're walking outside and there's this ridiculous birdsong battle going on, in the tree next to you. Take a second to tune into that sound and notice it and appreciate it, and think about how wonderful it is for those birds to be alive. And you know what? It's wonderful that you're alive too. And so as she says, it could mean something, it could mean everything. It's like, bird song happens all the time. Again, it's pretty everyday, it's pretty everyday occurrence. But at the same time, remembering the joy of being alive is just a really special feeling, and celebrating your life isn't that how we should be living, despite everything being broken around us. So I just really like that poem, and for me that kind of encapsulates a lot of what her poetry does, but just taking really small, everyday moments in nature and kind of connecting them to the amazing truth that is the human existence. Because I'm going to try and stop rambling now, but I think you just get so much joy out of life when you can appreciate those tiny things, because big things like graduating from high school and maybe a new baby being born in your family or starting a new relationship, I mean, those things are awesome, and you can get a total natural high off of the excitement of those kind of events, but they just don't happen all the time. But birds are always singing, and it really truly is amazing how beautiful they are. And so, being more mindful and appreciating those little things, you'll have more moments of gratitude, more moments of joy, rather than if you're just waiting for the next big life milestone to happen to you. All right. I'm almost at 20 minutes here. Guys, it's been an amazing year. My juniors, I cannot wait to see you next year, whenever, however we get back into school. I don't care, as long as I know that I get to see you guys. Seniors that I have in yearbook, please come and visit. I know most of you are not going to be very far away, so no excuses when you're home for Thanksgiving, Christmas break, things like that. Please come and see us. I know you want to see the new school building too, so at the very least, just come to check out the new digs. I hope you guys have an amazing summer. You can follow me on Instagram on The Real Miss Lucas. I made a teacher Instagram like other teachers if you want to stay connected and stay in touch. You guys are so wonderful. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and I'll see you soon. I love you so much. Bye.